Today, we're going to talk about something that affects pretty much everyone, but we hardly ever talk about it out loud, and that is discrimination based on physical appearance. So let's just dive right in.
I mean, it's something we've all felt, right? That split-second judgment somebody makes before you've even had a chance to speak. But how much does it actually matter, especially when it comes to our careers? Well, the answer might really surprise you. Get this. According to a survey by the French Defender of Rights, physical appearance is the #2 reason employees give for seeing or experiencing discrimination at work. #2, this isn't some small minor issue. It's a huge, often invisible barrier that's literally shaping people's careers.
So, why are we so quick to, judge a book by its cover? Well, it's not because we're all just mean people. It's actually all about how our brains are wired. We're constantly trying to process a crazy amount of information, and our brains need shortcuts. And that's where stereotypes come in. Think of them as a kind of cognitive shortcut. They're these generalizations that help our brains simplify a super complex world. And look, we all have them. It's just a natural part of how we think. Like thinking all librarians are quiet. It's a belief, a little mental filing cabinet. Okay, now this is where it gets really important. A stereotype is just a belief, like punks wear leather jackets. A prejudice, though, that's when you slap a negative judgment on top of that belief. That punk is a bad person. And that's the exact moment when this mental shortcut starts to get dangerous. And this cartoon shows you exactly when that danger really kicks in. When you're in a professional setting, like a job interview, these little mental shortcuts stop being so harmless. They start getting used to evaluate and judge people, and that can slam doors shut before someone even has a chance. So now that we kind of get the why, let's really dig into the how. We're going to look at some of the most common and honestly the most damaging stereotypes about appearance that are playing out in offices and interviews every single day. For people who are overweight, the stereotypes are just incredibly harsh and almost always negative. They're often seen as lacking self-control, being lazy, or even less intelligent. And these are judgments that have absolutely nothing to do with their actual skills or what they can bring to the table. And this image, wow, it just gives a voice to the person being judged, right? It's pushing back against that exact list of stereotypes we just saw. It's such a powerful reminder that there is a real human being behind all that prejudice. And the consequences? Oh, they are very, very real. Did you know that in France, women who are considered obese can face a salary penalty of up to 15% compared to their colleagues? That is a real, tangible financial cost that comes from a completely baseless bias. Now, this one is interesting. For people with a visible disability, the stereotypes are kind of contradictory. On the one hand, their personality often gets praised. They're seen as motivated, dynamic, strong-willed. But on the other hand, their actual professional competence is questioned, with all these negative assumptions about them being unproductive or slow. I mean, this cartoon just perfectly captures how absurd it all is. The interviewer is literally suspicious of a candidate in a wheelchair just because they seem happy. It plays right into that awful stereotype that people with disabilities are supposed to be sad all the time. So here's the bottom line. These biases directly crush opportunity. Having a visible disability can literally cut your chances of even getting your foot in the door for an interview in half. It's just staggering. Then, of course, there's the beauty bias. Our brains are sort of wired with this what is beautiful is good stereotype, where we assume attractive people are more competent, more intelligent. But it's a real double-edged sword, especially for women, who might get passed over for serious leadership roles because they're seen as less intelligent or too superficial. And here we see the hypocrisy just laid bare. Society, employers, they love to talk about inner beauty, but when it comes down to it, physical appearance plays this huge unspoken role in their actual decisions. And the data doesn't lie. This isn't just about feeling good. It's about what's in your wallet. It's called the beauty premium, and it shows a documented, significant salary advantage for people who happen to fit our conventional standards of attractiveness. And finally, let's talk about personal style. Tattoos, piercings, or just an unconventional look are so often stereotyped as being rebellious or unprofessional, but a classic style is seen as safe and reassuring. What's really tricky here is that a lot of recruiters feel like these judgments are totally justified, arguing that personal style is a choice, unlike these other things.
This cartoon just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? A candidate's style is being used to predict their entire personality and whether they'll be a cultural fit, completely ignoring if they can actually, do the job.
So we've seen all these stereotypes, but it's not just about getting hired. The impact goes so much deeper, and it can actually end up shaping a person's performance long after they're on the job. This is known as the Pygmalion effect. It's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy. If a manager believes an employee is a rock star, they're going to give them more opportunities, more encouragement. And what happens? The employee rises to that expectation, confirming the manager's original belief. But here's the scary part. It works in reverse, too. When we expect less from people, they often deliver less, and all that amazing potential just gets wasted. That's a huge loss for everybody.
And if you think this is just some abstract theory, check this out. When employees themselves were surveyed, the results were incredible. What did they think most impacts recruitment? Almost 74% said clothing and style. Nearly 60% pointed to weight. I mean, these are clearly not fringe issues. People see them as central factors in who gets hired.
Okay, so recognizing the problem is the first big step. But the most important question is, what on earth can we do about it? How do we actually start to move beyond these really damaging first impressions?
The solution isn't some complicated rule book of things not to do. It's about a real shift in our mindset. It's about consciously training ourselves to just hit pause on that initial judgment and instead focus on what actually matters: skills, competence, and character.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. As you go about your day today, whether you're talking to colleagues or clients or maybe even interviewing someone, what's one snap judgment, one first impression that you can consciously decide to look past?